Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is my submission to the what is being called the unofficial vinyl tag that was started by David Atkinson, who I believe this is his first time doing hosting the main attraction here. This is the big beginning of the year or end of the year, whatever you want to say it is, kind of a reintroduction to your channel for any new viewers. A lot of people are searching on YouTube this time of year, and this seems to be a very common video theme across a lot of different video creators, content creators, VC hosts, broke record collectors, whatever you want to call us. There are a bunch of questions here. I don't want to make this too long. David, thanks for coming up with these. It's a lot. I had to pull a lot of records here. I just put a bunch of records on my shelf, and now I've got like 110 here in front of me. But I've got the 20 questions here. Hopefully I've got everything in order. If things go to pot, this video will never post. All right, here we go. Number one, show your best vinyl or other musical purchase of 2025. Well, that was an easy decision for me. That is this compilation. It's not really a compilation. It's a compilation of Nick Drake's 3 studio albums. It's called Fruit Tree. This originally came out in the 80s. I want to say 84 or 5. Essentially, it was the last time that Nick Drake's albums were cut from the analog tapes. I found this on Discogs very cheap. It's pretty much pristine condition. It's got the 3 albums. It's got a bonus disc called Time of No Reply, which is like B-sides, demos, that kind of thing. Found this very cheap. It's gorgeous. This is in my collection forever. Yeah, Fruit Tree by Nick Drake. Show your favorite or share your favorite musical live experience of 2025. Well, I had a lot. I saw a lot of concerts. I saw small concerts. I saw big concerts. I went to New York to see Oasis on their reunion tour. Small bands. I saw Marty Stewart. I saw, bluegrass, rock. I saw Elvis Costello for the first time. Like all of these different groups that I've seen. So many, too many to count. I saw Paul McCartney, but that wasn't number one. Number one for me did happen the night before I saw Paul McCartney. As many of you remember, I did a series of videos with my buddy Alex over at Beer and Vinyl, whose name will probably show up a little bit more in this video. I went to Columbus, hung out with Alex. One of my favorite weeks ever. It was so fun. We, goofed around for most of the weekend, but shopped at a lot of record stores. That was awesome. But one of the things that we got to do was see one of my favorite bands, the Wood Brothers. And I got to see it with Alex. It was his first time seeing them. But because of interviews that I've done on my channel, one of which was with John O'Ricks, the percussionist of the Wood Brothers, I was able to get into the show for free, and Alex and I got to hang out backstage with them for about 10 or 15 minutes, and they signed our records. So that was an awesome experience. Kind of a conglomeration, kind of like a pinnacle of the work that I've put into this channel. It was awesome. Thank you so much to Kevin from the Wood Brothers team. And Alex for hanging out with me and doing that kind of on a last minute thing. So Wood Brothers with Alex in Columbus for sure. He asks, your record collection in 10 years time, is it bigger, smaller, or the same? Well, I'm fairly new to record collecting, started in 2025. Really, I should actually say more like 2020. Back that up. I've been doing this channel since 2020. Didn't really start collecting records till probably spring or summer of 2021. So I'm still fairly new to this, not even 5 years in fully. So I'm guessing it's going to be bigger. Now, I've got plenty of space down here. There's always room for more shelving. I do need to get rid of some stuff, but I think it's going to be bigger and hopefully more concise. Number 4, you move into a new home, play one record, turned up to 11. What is it and why? Well, I just mentioned these guys a minute ago. I'm going to go with Oasis and the album What's the Story, Morning Glory. This album kicks off with the song Hello, which is just a rocker. They open with a lot of their shows with that song. It's just a killer welcome song. And yeah, this record rocks all the way through. Hello, perfect entry point to a new home. So, what's the story? Morning Glory. That one's for you, Rob. Um, Number five, show two albums, one for each of your favorite singers, male and female. Why these two? Well, number one, I had to think for a second, but I think I'm going to go with Sam Cooke. Sam is just, the king of soul music, in my opinion. His voice is just pristine. He could sing gospel, rock, ballads, all sorts of stuff. Absolutely love Sam Cooke. I need more Sam Cooke. This is the only thing that I own physically by him, the best of, but so many great songs, taken way too soon. Sam was awesome. Love his voice. So good. And female, I'm going to go with Ella. Again, one of my favorite Christmas albums. I have a lot of her CDs with Louis Armstrong, as well as her Live in Berlin concert. But Ella just has the smooth voice. It was almost like another instrument. She could scat. Beautiful voice, well up into her older age. And I just think she's got the best voice in jazz. So Ella Fitzgerald, favorite female. Show your top three soul or dance records. Well, I am a very non-soulful person. I don't have a lot of soul records. I don't really have any dance records, but this is the best that I could do. Hall & Oates with their album Big Bam Boom. This thing, pure Hall & Oates at the peak of their powers. It has Method of Modern Love, Out of Touch, just some good, Hall & Oates tunes. I've seen both of these guys, albeit solo, because they hate each other now. But fun dance, 80s music, Big Bam Boom, Hall & Oates. I do have some CDs here. I'm sorry, it's the vinyl tag, but this is what we do. I'm going to go with this album, Only the Strong Survive. I was actually just talking to somebody about this tonight. And this is Bruce Springsteen doing soul tunes from the 50s and 60s. He does stuff like Night Shift, which is from the 80s, I know. I Wish It Would Rain by the Temptations. Really, really good stuff. Bruce doing soul music. It sounds great. And then lastly, Brother Ray. This is a twofer, Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music, volumes 1 and 2. This is Ray Charles doing the country songs. This is where he had his big hit with Georgia on My Mind, the Hoagie Carmichael tune. Fantastic. Ray, just killer voice. So there you go. Number 7, a real stinker. Nominate a track that you hate on an album that you love. I love the Avett Brothers. This is their album Emotionalism. Adore this record. There was a song on this record called Pretty Girl from Chile. And I'm not talking about the beans. It starts off really, really good. And then it goes into this weird, they use a sound effect of this girl calling and leaving a voicemail. And then it goes into this heavy, kind of grungy guitar. It's weird. It starts folky. It's got this weird guitar and this weird telephone interlude, and it breaks up the monotony of the album. I mean, it breaks up the album for me in a bad way. So, Avett Brothers, you could have done a little bit better with that. If you had to pick one album from the last 6 decades, what would they be? Well, unlike Gary at Physical Format Rock and Roll, I'm going to show these records. 60s, my favorite album of all time, Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. If you know my channel, you know I love this album. God Only Knows, Caroline No, Wouldn't It Be Nice, Sloop John B. So many good songs. Do You Still Believe in Me? It's a perfect album. So that's the album that I picked from the 60s. 70s, my favorite Dylan album. I'm a big Bob Dylan fan. For those of you that are new, he's my favorite artist. And this is his album, Blood on the Tracks. This is his magnum opus. He has a lot of masterpieces, but this is the granddaddy of them all for me. Blood on the Tracks from the 70s. The 80s, we're going to go another top tenor for me right here. Graceland by Paul Simon. Love this album. It's perfect. Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes, Graceland, Boy in the Bubble, You Can Call Me Al, Homeless, Under African Skies. Just so many good tunes on here with the African melodies and the beats. Fantastic. Love that record. Don't get tired of it. The 90s, 1991's Into the Great Wide Open by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. This is the second album that he did with Jeff Lynne. It followed Full Moon Fever, his solo album, his first solo album. This has, All or Nothing on it. All the Wrong Reasons is a fantastic deep cut. It's obviously got the title track. It's got Learning to Fly. It's a fantastic record. Not a great cover, but fantastic record. The 2000s, back to the Avets, I'm going to go with I and Lovin' You. Probably my favorite of theirs. It changes. This is kind of where they really got their footing and got in the mainstream. Produced by Rick Rubin. This is their first album with him on the American label, his label. And as you can see, this one is signed by the guys, including Bob Crawford and Joe Kwan. Alex, one of his local shops, the Avets, came to Columbus a couple of years ago, and they had some signed records, and Alex picked this up for me. I paid him. He didn't give it to me. But yeah, I Am Loving You, great stuff. And then the 2010s, I'm going to go with my favorite John Prine record, 2018's The Tree of Forgiveness. It was the swan song, fantastic record. It's perfect. It's short, but yeah, my buddy Glenn Calloway said this earlier. John still had a lot to say, and it's unfortunate that he left us because of his bout with COVID back in 2020. But Tree of Forgiveness by John Prine would be the record from the 2010s. All right, number 9. You get the opportunity to spend a day alone with one artist, hanging out, whatever you want to do. Who would it be? Some people are picking their, favorite artists. Some people are picking, the people that they think are going to be the coolest. I'm going to pick somebody who I think would actually be hilarious and very fun to hang out with, albeit maybe a little bit weird, maybe a little bit scary. Tom Waits. I think it would be awesome to talk to Tom Waits, and pick his brain, talk about his days playing piano, like on this album Closing Time, talk about his transitions to weird noise kind of music, and I just think he'd be fun. He seems so funny in all the interviews that you see, especially with David Letterman. Tom Waits, yeah, I would just love to hang out with him. And then number 10, what would be your must-ask question? I would just ask him what he's listening to. What's inspiring him? Is he still writing? He hasn't put out an album in probably 15 years now. So that's what I would ask Mr. Tom Waits. Number 11, show a record that contains a track that brings a tear to your eye. I've gotten sentimental over the years. I'm very sentimental. And this is a song that, really is just one of those like perfect songs. Even though it's overplayed, people don't like it, especially this time of year. We're post Christmas now, but you hear it on the radio a lot. But I'm gonna go with Same Auld Lang Syne by Dan Fogelberg. It's just a perfect story. It's based on some true events that happened with Dan running into one of his old girlfriends at the grocery store, and it's just so many great moments. His voice is great on it. The music is touching. Same Auld Lang Syne is just, I think that it's beautiful. Yeah, love that song. Number 12, show 3 albums from artists that you've tried to love, but you're questioning why bother. I think Alex actually mentioned this, and I didn't even think about it after I pulled the record, but I'm going to show it anyway. So, artists that I have tried but can't get into. John Lennon. I'm not talking about Yoko Ono. I'm talking about John Lennon. Not since I started watching YouTube, I wasn't really big into the solo Beatles stuff. But then after YouTube, watching some Beatles channels, I was really getting into, the Paul McCartney stuff. Obviously, it's kind of where I went first. All Things Must Pass by George Harrison. Ringo stuff, I've got a bunch of Ringo records. But John's, I just can't jump into it. And I'm a huge Beatles fan. They're my favorite band. They're my favorite band by a long shot. But John's solo stuff, I can't get into it. I can't do it, especially when songs alternate with Yoko. Even the stuff that she sings, I can't get into John's stuff. I have a couple of his records, and I like a lot of his solo stuff, but I can't go all in on his solo stuff. This is actually a record I believe that Alex gave me. Another artist, Harry Nilsson, somebody that I really want to investigate and get into. I love his album, A Little Touch of Schmilson and the Night, where he does standards. I think it's gorgeous. He was a great writer. He has some great songs, but people that love him love him. Obviously, I knew him because of the Coconut song. Um, but yeah, there's just something I'm not there yet with Nilsson. I think I probably will get there at some point, but I'm not there yet. And then number three, James Taylor, which people would expect. Oh, you're a big singer songwriter guy. James Taylor is like the granddaddy of the '70s. Him and Carole King. But I think because I started realizing as I got older that a lot of his best songs were songs that he didn't write. I mean, I love Sweet Baby James. I love that song. Even as I've gotten older, I've kind of come back around to Carolina on My Mind, but I don't love James Taylor. I do like this album a lot. This is his American Standard album. Again, covering standards. I love when artists do that. Some people think it's schmaltzy. I like it, but I'm not all in on James Taylor. Um, Show an album from an artist whose character disappoints you, or can you separate the artist from the art? It depends. It depends on a lot of factors. There are some artists that are politically charged that I agree with a lot of them. I disagree with a lot of them. There are artists that have done terrible things. Um, you know, there's a lot of different factors at play. Um, so there are people that I could talk about, point out, but the one that I thought of was Phil Spector, who look up what he did. It was terrible. Put out a ton of great music as a producer. I don't have an album to show. I think I just have his compilation and a Christmas album, and those are tucked away with Christmas stuff. Um, but Phil Spector, whenever I hear the end of that Christmas album where he speaks, where they're playing Silent Night, it's just kind of eerie. Um, and I love the songs when they're on the radio. I don't turn them or anything like that. I don't necessarily always think immediately, like, oh yeah, it's Phil Spector. He was that guy that died in prison. um, but yeah, Phil Spector is the one that popped in my mind. Um, if you had to sell all your vinyl with everything, record player, blah blah blah, show one album that you'd keep as a keepsake. Well, I'm gonna go with the first album that I was ever given. This is the 2009 copy of Abbey Road. Nothing special about this copy. It's not signed. It's not a promo. Probably purchased at Barnes and Noble or Walmart or somewhere by my parents. But because it's my first album, it's my favorite Beatles album. Um, yeah, this is one I will never part with. Still plays great. Again, nothing special about it, but it's my first album. And again, because so many of these albums are new, I don't really have a strong sentimentality toward a lot of them. But I did get this one back in like 2010 or so when I had a little Crosley record player. So Abbey Road by the Beatles. Um, Discuss your favorite VC highlight of 2025. Well, I mentioned Alex going up to Columbus. That was just awesome. Again, I talked about that in terms of like a meetup in person. That was great. Um, Saw two concerts, went to all of his record shops, had some good food. He cooked for me. He does cook, ladies. Um, so yeah, hanging out with Alex. Also had Alex and my buddy Tommy from Tommy's Musical Adventures come to my wedding back in July. That was awesome to have them there. Love those guys to death. But in terms of actually, the actual content on my channel, obviously I did a lot of interviews, but for me, number one, getting to interview Tommy James from Tommy James and the Shondells completely caught me by surprise, and so happy that I had that. He was just the nicest guy, and hopefully I'll have more interviews this year, but that one will be always a special one. So Tommy James, thank you. That was awesome. Show your favorite musical biopic. Love and Mercy, the Brian Wilson story, essentially, with Paul Dano and John Cusack, Paul Giamatti, Elizabeth Banks. This talks about two different periods in Brian's life. It's not it's not a comprehensive overview of his entire life. It's essentially focused on young Brian doing pet sounds and the smile session and kind of going into his mental unraveling. And then it goes into the 80s with John Cusack playing him with Paul Giamatti as Dr. Landy, his psychiatrist. So I think it's beautiful how it's done. There's some inaccuracies, but this is my favorite biopic. Saw it in theaters, I want to say twice, maybe. Um, Give 3 reasons why jazz matters and show a favorite album. Well, one of my favorite jazz albums, possibly my favorite, is Sketches of Spain by Miles Davis. Not a traditional album. It's got a lot of like flamenco and bolero kind of music in it, but Miles Davis really kind of stretching the borders of what jazz can be. And this is just so cinematic. It's like a movie. It feels like you're in like a bull ring. It's fantastic. So Sketches of Spain, a favorite jazz album. Why does jazz matter? You know, it's probably the most American form of music that there is. America started the blues, but a lot of the blues stuff started in Africa, and kind of had roots outside of the United States. But jazz really is like the music that America spawned. Not that that makes it something that matters, but we there's a lot of music out there, a lot of different genres, and jazz is really one that is country specific. And obviously now there's millions of different types of jazz. Um, you know, Obviously it's something that you hear in music that you don't even realize. Jazz chords are all over like Christmas music, which I love. So you wouldn't really have Christmas music the way that we know it without jazz chords, and it's very difficult to play. And then also it's just it's a genre that kind of expands your mind. It's stuff that you can um, you don't have to always have it as at the forefront. You can put it in the background. I don't usually prefer that to be the case. I like to listen to my music, um, especially the first listen, and then I can put it in the background. But it's something that you can listen to while watching the snow come down, having coffee. It's an easy way to start your music listening in the day. And then again, you've got all sorts of great jazz, big band, crooners, free jazz, avant-garde, hard bop, bebop, um, you know, rock'em sock'em robots, bop it, whatever you want to say. I love jazz. I've really gotten into it of late, and don't plan on stopping. So love me some jazz. Um, okay, number 18. We're almost done here, folks. You're an innocent man on death row. They give you one last musical request. What do you ask for? I want to hang out with Keith Richards. I want them to get Keith Richards. I want him to bring him into the cell or wherever I'm, at. Um, and I feel like he could talk, talk to the right people and get me out of jail. Just like kind of being like, calling the secretary doll or something like that. Hey love, how you doing there? And then that would get me out of jail. But if the request, if they're like, you're gonna get the, um, I've never smoked in my life, but I would say have a cigarette with Keith Richards. Why not? Um, it would be a cool photo, and there you go, Keith. Number 19. Sell your favorite artist to a new listener. Show an essential album and explain why they should make time for it. Well, again, I talk about the same artist all the time. I could have shown a Tom Petty album, a Bob Dylan album, a Beatles, a Prine, Jimmy Crack Corn. But I'm gonna go with one of my favorite new group, or one of my favorite new groups, and that's the Lemon Twigs. I talk about them ad nauseum. People have to take Tums as they watch my videos. They're like, oh gosh, there he is talking about the Lemon Pop Tarts. But this is their album, A Dream Is All We Know. It's their most recent album. Hopefully we get a new one this year. Although I guess we technically did at Record Store Day. But they're bringing back these sounds of, the 60s, the 70s. They love all sorts of music. So if you're a fan of, Beach Boys harmonies, T-Rex kind of glam, Todd Rundgren, um, jangle birds kind of music, Rickenbacker guitars. These are the guys for you. They're short songs. They're not complex. They're not songs that are going to make you, try to solve world issues. But it's a fantastic band. This is where I would start, and then go wherever you want to. So, the Lemon Twigs, check them out. And number 20, you're arranging a meetup for the VC this year, 2026. Excluding people that you've already met. Who are you inviting? He wants us to show 3. By he, I mean David. Well, here's the thing. I have a lot of people that I really want to meet. And I know that's a cop-out. But what I would do is do 2 meetups. All right? We're going to do a Canadian meetup, and we're going to do a American meetup. So this is for people that I haven't met in person. I've met a lot of great people. I've met Glenn Kellaway. I've met Alex at Beer and Vinyl. I've met Tommy Musical Adventures. I've met Randall Nelson. I've met Beetle Brad. I've met a lot of people in the VC and VC adjacent. So these are people that I've never, shook a hand with. So in Canada, one of the most innovative, I would say, what's the word? Very artistic channels that are out there. He's pumping out videos all the time, and I'm talking about Jason Arsenault. Check out his channel. Go sub him up. He puts out a lot of content. Jason, I would love to meet Jason. Love to meet him. I talk to Jason every day. And just a really, really sweet guy. I got to meet Jason. So, meeting up with Jason, my buddy Rob over at Northern Revolutions, he's going to hang out with us as well. Yeah, I've known Rob for several years now. I've done a lot of videos with him. Rob's going to be there. And then I want to meet Jack, the Vinyl Martini. I want to talk about country music with Jack. And I want to see Jack and Jason in the same room together. That's what I want to see. So, Vinyl Martini, Jason Arsenault, Northern Revolutions, seeing you guys in Canada. And in the U.S., I'm going to mention my buddy Ernie, the Trailer Park Pimp down there in North Carolina. Great guy. Go sub him up. I feel like I would be blown away checking out his records and him showing me like the shops in North Carolina. So Ernie, coming down there, man. Gary over at Physical Format Rock and Roll. Gary is going to be the one buying everybody drinks because Gary does not have a shallow wallet. His wallet is deep, and he wants to prove it. So Gary, you're buying the drinks, you're buying the burgers, and you're leaving the tip because you said you would. And then lastly, the guy that got me into this whole thing, he's up there in New England, in Massachusetts. I want to meet my guy, Matthew Street. I would love to meet Matt. I was very close over the summer. He saw Oasis the day after I did at the same venue in New Jersey, but Matt is very high on there. I really want to meet Matt. So there you go. There's the vinyl tag at almost 30 minutes. So sorry. I know people are complaining, but that's what we get when we try to support each other. We get complaints. That does it for me, everybody. Looking forward to 2026 with you all. There might be a couple other vinyl tags here that I jump on. Check out my Americana tag if you haven't looked at it already, or if you've made it this far in the video, check it out. So that does it for me, folks. In the meantime, y'all be good, take care, and we will see you on the next one.